Baldwin IV was born in Jerusalem in 1161. He was the son of King Amalric I and Agnes of Courtenay. Baldwin was a smart boy. He loved to learn. He was also strong and brave. Many people believed he would be a great king. Baldwin became king when he was only 13 years old. His father, King Amalric, had died. The kingdom needed a leader. Young Baldwin was crowned King Baldwin IV of Jerusalem. He was a boy king with a heavy crown. His people loved him. They called him Baldwin the Leper King. This was not meant to be cruel. It was said with sadness and respect. You see, Baldwin had a terrible disease. He had leprosy. Leprosy was a cruel disease. It attacked the body slowly. It caused sores and deformities. Baldwin was young when he was diagnosed. At first he hid his illness. He did not want his enemies to know he was weak, but leprosy is a relentless disease. It grew worse over time. Soon everyone knew the king's secret. Baldwin's body was ravaged by the disease. He suffered great pain, but his spirit never broke. He continued to rule his kingdom. He faced his challenges with courage and determination. Baldwin never let leprosy define him. He was a king first and foremost. He was determined to rule wisely and well. He was determined to defend his kingdom. Baldwin IV faced many threats during his reign. The most dangerous was Saladin. Saladin was a powerful Muslim ruler. He was a brilliant general. He was a devout Muslim. He wanted to drive the Crusaders out of the Holy Land. Saladin was a charismatic leader. He united the Muslim world. He built a powerful army. He was determined to conquer Jerusalem. He was a worthy adversary for Baldwin IV. Their conflict would become legendary. Saladin launched several attacks against the Kingdom of Jerusalem. He won victories. He conquered cities. He threatened Jerusalem itself. Baldwin IV knew he had to stop Saladin. He knew the fate of his kingdom was at stake. In 1177, Saladin, the formidable Sultan of Egypt and Syria, launched a grand invasion of Jerusalem. His ambition was to reclaim the holy city, a jewel of immense religious and strategic significance. He had amassed a large and powerful army, confident in their numbers and strength. Saladin's forces were well equipped and highly trained, a fearsome sight to behold. He expected an easy victory, believing that his overwhelming force would quickly crush any resistance. However, he underestimated the resolve and skill of his opponent, Baldwin IV, the young king of Jerusalem. Despite suffering from leprosy, Baldwin was a skilled warrior and a brilliant tactician. His illness did not diminish his courage or his ability to lead. Baldwin assembled his army knowing they were vastly outnumbered. Yet, he inspired his men with his determination and strategic acumen. They prepared for battle with a resolve to defend their kingdom at all costs. The knights and soldiers, though few in number, were fiercely loyal to their king. They were determined to fight for their king and their kingdom, ready to lay down their lives in the face of overwhelming odds. The two armies met at Montgisard. The battle was fierce and brutal, with both sides fighting with all their might. The clash of swords and the cries of warriors filled the air. The Crusaders fought with incredible bravery, their spirits unyielding despite the overwhelming odds. Each knight and soldier fought as if the fate of Jerusalem rested on their shoulders. Baldwin led the charge himself, his presence on the battlefield a beacon of hope and courage for his men. His leadership was instrumental in rallying the Crusaders. Baldwin IV, despite his leprosy, fought in the front line. His bravery and determination inspired his men to fight with even greater ferocity. He was a true warrior king. The Crusaders won a stunning victory. Saladin's forces were routed, their confidence shattered by the unexpected ferocity of Baldwin's army. Saladin barely escaped with his life, retreating in haste. His grand plans for Jerusalem lay in ruins, a testament to Baldwin's extraordinary leadership and the indomitable spirit of his men. It was an incredible victory for Baldwin IV, a triumph that would be remembered for generations. His name became synonymous with bravery and tactical genius. He was hailed as a hero by his people, celebrated for his unwavering courage and his ability to protect Jerusalem against all odds. Baldwin IV had saved his kingdom, securing a place in history as one of its greatest defenders. His legacy would inspire future generations to stand firm in the face of adversity. The Battle of Montgisard bought Baldwin IV time. It was a hard-fought victory that came at a great cost. Baldwin, despite his leprosy, led his men with courage and determination, proving his mettle as a leader. The Crusaders managed to push back Saladin's forces, but the respite was temporary. But Saladin was not finished. The defeat at Montgizard only fueled his resolve. He was a master strategist and a formidable opponent. Saladin began to rebuild his army, gathering more troops and resources, determined to reclaim the lost ground and continue his campaign against the Crusaders. He rebuilt his army and continued to threaten the Kingdom of Jerusalem. His forces grew stronger and more disciplined, ready to face the Crusaders once again. Saladin's determination was unwavering, and he knew that another confrontation was inevitable. In 1179, the two armies met again. This time the stakes were even higher. Both sides knew that the outcome of this battle could change the course of history. The tension was palpable as the armies assembled on the battlefield, each soldier aware of the gravity of the situation. This time the battle took place at Marj Ayun. The clash was fierce and brutal, with neither side willing to back down. The air was thick with the sounds of clashing swords and the cries of warriors. The battlefield was a chaotic scene of violence and valor. The battle was a disaster for Baldwin IV. Despite their initial success, the Crusaders were unable to maintain their momentum. The tide of battle turned against them, and they found themselves overwhelmed by Saladin's forces. The Crusaders were winning at first, but Saladin's forces rallied. They surrounded the Crusaders. Baldwin was almost captured. The situation grew dire as the Crusaders were encircled, fighting desperately to break free from the tightening noose. He escaped with the help of his loyal knights. These brave men risked their lives to ensure their king's safety, demonstrating their unwavering loyalty and courage. Baldwin's escape was a narrow one, and it was a testament to the bravery of his knights, but the Crusaders were defeated. The battlefield was strewn with the fallen, and the survivors retreated in disarray. The defeat was a heavy blow to the morals of the Crusader forces, and it marked a significant setback in their struggle against Saladin. The Battle of Marj Ayun was a heavy blow to Baldwin IV. He had fought valiantly, but the loss weighed heavily on him. The defeat not only diminished his forces, but also eroded his confidence. He was now losing ground to Saladin. The once formidable Kingdom of Jerusalem was shrinking, and Saladin's influence was expanding. The balance of power was shifting, and Baldwin knew that his kingdom was in grave danger. His illness was getting worse. Baldwin's leprosy was taking a toll on his body, weakening him further. Despite his physical decline, his spirit remained unbroken. He continued to lead his people even as his health deteriorated. He was running out of time. The sands of the hourglass were slipping away, and Baldwin knew that his days were numbered. The pressure was mounting, and the future of his kingdom hung in the balance. But he refused to give up. Baldwin's resolve was unshakable. He continued to inspire his troops, rallying them with his unwavering determination. He was a king who would not surrender, no matter the odds. He continued to fight for his kingdom. Baldwin IV's legacy was one of courage and resilience. He fought to the very end, determined to protect his people and his realm from the relentless advance of Saladin. In 1183, a famed warrior arrived in the Holy Land. This was a time of great turmoil and conflict, with the Crusades in full swing. The arrival of this warrior was a significant event, marking a new chapter in the ongoing struggle for control of the Holy Land. His name was Richard the Lionheart. Known for his bravery and military prowess, Richard was a figure who inspired both fear and admiration. His reputation as a formidable warrior preceded him, and his presence in the Holy Land was both a beacon of hope for the Crusaders and a warning to their enemies. He was the son of King Henry II of England. Born into a lineage of power and influence, Richard was groomed from a young age to be a leader. His father, King Henry II, was a formidable ruler in his own right, and Richard inherited his father's ambition and strength. He was a fierce warrior and a skilled commander. Richard's military campaigns were marked by strategic brilliance and unyielding courage. His ability to lead men into battle and secure victories against formidable foes earned him the respect of his peers and the fear of his enemies. He came to the Holy Land to fight Saladin. Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, was a formidable adversary. Known for his tactical genius and chivalrous conduct, Saladin was a respected leader who had successfully united the Muslim world against the Crusaders. Richard the Lionheart respected Baldwin IV. Baldwin IV, the King of Jerusalem, was a young and courageous leader who had earned the admiration of many despite his debilitating illness. Richard saw in Baldwin a kindred spirit, a fellow warrior committed to the cause. He knew of Baldwin's courage and his struggles. Baldwin IV suffered from leprosy, a disease that would eventually claim his life. Despite his illness, Baldwin continued to lead his people with determination and valor, earning the respect of allies and enemies alike. He wanted to help Baldwin defeat Saladin. Richard's arrival in the Holy Land was not just about personal glory. It was about forming alliances and strengthening the Crusader cause. He saw Baldwin as a crucial ally in the fight against Saladin. The two kings formed an alliance. This alliance was a significant moment in the history of the Crusades, bringing together two of the most powerful leaders of the time. Their combined forces were a formidable threat to Saladin and his armies. They pledged to fight together against their common enemy. The unity between Richard and Baldwin was a beacon of hope for the Crusaders. Their combined strength and strategic acumen promised to turn the tide in the ongoing conflict. But their alliance was short-lived. The harsh realities of war and the frailties of human life soon took their toll. Despite their best efforts, the alliance faced insurmountable challenges. Baldwin IV was dying. His illness had progressed to a point where he could no longer lead his armies. The once vibrant and courageous king was now a shadow of his former self, weakened by the relentless advance of leprosy. He could no longer lead his armies in battle. The burden of leadership now fell to others, and the future of the kingdom hung in the balance. Baldwin's decline was a significant blow to the Crusader cause. He had to put the fate of his kingdom in the hands of others. With Baldwin's health failing, the responsibility of defending the kingdom and continuing the fight against Saladin was entrusted to his advisors and commanders. He died in 1185 at the age of 24. Baldwin's death marked the end of an era. His short but impactful reign left a lasting legacy, and his passing was mourned by many. He was a great king, struck down in his prime. Baldwin IV's courage and leadership in the face of overwhelming odds remain a testament to his character. His story is a poignant reminder of the human cost of the Crusades and the fleeting nature of power and glory. Baldwin IV's death did not end the conflict with Saladin. In 1183, Saladin laid siege to Kerak Castle. Kerak was a mighty fortress. It guarded the road to Jerusalem. It was defended by Reynold of Chatillon, a Crusader lord. Inside the castle was Stephanie of Milly. She was the widow of Reynold's father. She was a brave woman. She refused to surrender. She sent messengers to Jerusalem. They pleaded for help. Baldwin IV was too ill to lead an army, but he sent his army to Kerak. They were led by his stepson, Guy of Lusignan. Saladin was forced to lift the siege. Kerak was saved. Baldwin IV's reign was short, but it was significant. He was a brave and skillful warrior. He was a wise and just ruler. He kept Saladin at bay for 11 years. He kept the kingdom of Jerusalem intact. Baldwin IV was a remarkable figure. He faced his illness with courage and dignity. He never gave up hope. He never surrendered to despair. He inspired his people. He earned the respect of his enemies. Baldwin IV was a true Crusader king. He fought for his faith. He fought for his kingdom. He fought for his people. He is remembered as one of the greatest heroes of the Crusades. Baldwin IV and Saladin are forever linked in history. They were two of the most remarkable leaders of their time. They were both men of courage, determination, and faith. They were also bitter enemies, locked in a struggle for the Holy Land. Their conflict was more than just a clash of armies. It was a clash of cultures, religions, and ideologies. It was a clash that helped to shape the world we live in today. Baldwin IV and Saladin left an indelible mark on history. They are both remembered as giants of their age.